driving me potty. Thank you, Faith. So, oh dear. I do have issues with my sound. I haven't touched anything. I don't know what's wrong with it. I need a new tablet, I think. I think it's running out of memory. It's all just going wrong on me. So, today I'm going to come back up just very quickly. So today what we're doing is we're creating texture using bicarbonate of soda. It's a fantastic technique, really simple. You can do it on your cards, on your canvases. I'm doing it onto a old book box I've just recycled from a different project. But you can do onto all sorts of surfaces that you want to do it onto, okay? But it is super simple. Now I'm using the Cadence products because that's what I have, but there will be products out there maybe you have that do a similar effect or a similar finish to them, so go ahead and use them as well. So it's up to you, but you can play with this technique around the products you have, okay? So now I am going to take you down. Now you can hear me. I'm going to take you down to the mat. So hiya to everybody. Hiya B. Faith, thank you ever so much for letting me know that straight away. Hiya Alison. I hope you can hear me now. Hiya Lee. Catherine, oh God. Yay. Thank you, Catherine. Thank you, Faith. So ingredients, what we're going to be using. So first of all, I've got a substrate to work on. I'm going to show you the steps on pieces of plywood. So I'll be showing you the actual steps because there's a lot of drying and layering up until we get to the finished piece. So really today is about the top of the box I'm doing for you, okay? So ingredients, what you're going to need. This is the fun bit. So I have used I've just used black paint here. Oh, thank you, Alison. Thank you, B. So I'm using the black paint to do my base. It depends what colours you're working with. It's just as a base to work on. So if you're working on something like a cardboard or MDF, then onto grey board, then you would need a protective coat because we'll put awful lot of liquid onto this project. It really needs to be protected. So use your black gesso, use your I use the hybrid paint. It's up to you. So you've got our base paint. And then what I have got Vintage Legend from Cadence. And this is what they call vintage gesso. And it has lots of different chunks of different sizes in it. And I'll show you that as we go through. But I've got this lovely sort of fresco, which is a lovely blue colour. But again, whatever you have. So we've got that. Then I've also got some antique and powder paint. Okay, so it's getting a nice matte finish, but we're using it for colouring, to add colour in the background. You'll see that. So again, that's a great one, really matte if you want to use it onto your other projects. I've also got some, this is from my own stash, an antique in paint, but this could be a brown paint, anything you have really that's got maybe a bit glazing medium in it. It doesn't really matter. It is just for background effect, okay? It's about building those colours up, you know? And then what I have, and this is a bit I'm going to give you a swap out for, I actually have products called Createx. So we had them a while back when we used to be on with Imagination. So I've got a rust effect paint and I got an activator which helps speed it up. Now if you haven't got these, what you can use to create these, because it's just to create texture and a rusty feel, you can use your rusty patinas. So if you've got the rusty patina, the brown one, the orange one, the oxide yellow one, then you could use them as well as the mold green. You could use them to do this effect. So don't think you haven't got this, you can't do it. You can if you've got your rusty patinas. So I've got those there. I've also put in a couple of paints maybe to add to my frame when I do my frame finish. So I've got a couple of Dora metallics there. But again, it's just metallic paint. Don't know if I'm going to use those yet. And then the two ingredients, which are fun ingredients, are, here we go, good old co-op. Any make will do. Hi, Caroline. So we've got bicarbonate of soda. Okay, so any make, any supermarket, any bakery store. And then I have some vinegar. It doesn't have to be white vinegar, it could be any vinegar. So whatever you've got in the cupboard, could be malt vinegar. I just happened to buy the white one because it was in the shop. It could be apple vinegar. It doesn't matter. It's just you need vinegar. Okay. So those are the basic sort of ingredients, especially the cooking ingredients. Everyone's got this in the cupboard. They bicarb. I've tried it with baking powder. It doesn't work as well. You need a bicarb for the fizz. Okay. What you also need, which I haven't got, and so I can't actually do the finishing part, is you will need some spray matte varnish. I only got gloss. It's no good for the project because I don't want a gloss finish. So you need some. Hi Angela. You need a clear matte varnish. I will explain to you later on, but it preserves what we're going to do. Okay, so a nice clear matte spray varnish. Okay, it's no good in having a paint on varnish because you don't want to add any more water to this project when we've done it. Okay, and the varnishes most of them contain water, so you need a clear matte varnish. Okay, so that's the only thing I haven't got. All right, so we're going to start. So first of all, what we're going to do is, let me just get some space on my desk. Here we go. So moving all my products up. So first of all, what I'm going to work with is the Vintage Legend. So I'm actually working with the Vintage Legend. I'm going to bring the camera a little bit for this part because I'm working on a small area. Here we go. So I've got a piece of wood. All I've done here, this could be we're going to think this is the top of my box, so my box, a wood box. So I've just wood there, and I've just given it a coat of paint. This could be gesso, anything to sort of give that a nice waterproof base to it, really. Now this is the Vintage Legend, so I got the fresco. There's me trying to open it. Ugh. Hold on. I don't know if you can see here. It's like a textured paint, really. Okay, it sort of gives a sort of matte finish afterwards, but it is a, when you see it, it is a textured paint. So its consistency is quite a loose consistency, but it's packed full, you can see, of granules and grains to get that texture. So we're going to use that to advantage to get some real texture in the background. So all I'm going to do is I'm taking my spatula, okay, and I'm going to add, I already got one dry so we can move on. I don't want to keep you too long, it's very warm. I know you've got things to do. So what I'm going to do now, oh, you love the sound of texture. I love the sound of a texture base. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to just basically cover the background. Okay, there we go. I leave little gaps here and here, but what I want is the different levels of texture you get with the paste. Okay, this is what I wanted, and this is why we use the Vintage Legend on this. Okay, so again, you want those different layer textures. So again, if you haven't got the the Vintage Legend, you can do this, building up your layers using your rusty patinas. All you have to do is you do one layer, dry it, let it dry. If you want the most texture from your rusty patinas, you need to let it dry so naturally. It doesn't take long because if you dry it with a heat tool, it'll lose some of its depth because of it's acrylic and it'll flatten down a little bit. So you do one layer, yeah, and then you let that dry, and then come with your spatula and do other layers, and you can build up this texture doing that with your rusty patina. It's exactly the same technique. Okay, so you're going to do all this all the way across, okay, until you've covered your piece. Now it's very important, I'll pop that into water. It is very important you must let this dry. It has to be fully dry, and that's because we're going to be adding lots of other liquids to it, and we need to make sure this layer, because I put quite a thick layer there. Okay, so whatever you're using, whether it's rusty patinas or whether it's Vintage Legend, you must let this dry until it's perfectly dry. Okay, and again, it's better to leave it naturally, but you can use a hairdryer. I prefer a hairdryer I prefer a cool setting, but you can dry it, but so you get much better relief if you leave it dry naturally. If I bring in the one here, you'll see now, this is the one now I've added all that texture to. But can you see it's a matte finish? It is like a gesso finish to it. Okay, but can you see? Look at this, all that gorgeous texture from that layer being built up there. Can you see? Do you get that real texture on there? So our next part now, what we're going to do. Oh, sorry, I'm going to have to get a drink. It's very warm in this room. Do excuse me. So I'm going to use the antiquing paint now. Now I've got the antiquing paint in green. Okay, there we go. You'll find the Vintage Legend and the antiquing paint. You'll find that on the Personal Impressions website. They have both these products available in there. So what we're going to do is we're going to use some of this. I'm just going to get a paint pan out, and I use a little bit of foil. Okay. I'm going to put some of this out, and we're going to use this and a water spray. Okay. We're going to start adding our layers of colour, really, our background colour that's going to really pop when we make it. So I'm just going to find my water spray. That's what I was trying to find. And what I'm going to do, I'll just use my finger. We just use my finger here. So I'm just going to start adding some of this into the background. You can tell I was trying to find a brush and I couldn't find where I put it. Okay. So I'm going to start adding this flat into the background. I'm going to add a little bit of water as well, so that I can move that around into that background. Okay, and this is where I'm saying we are going to build our colour. We are going to have drying time, so I hope you've got a cup of tea or a nice cold drink there. But I have no point. We have to have drying time on this. So I'm just going to add some water. Okay, I want to sort of spread that around. Again, this is our sort of background. All sort of background layers. Okay, I'm just going to let that, can you see, just dribble down. I want a nice light layer because we're going to add more of this when this is dry now. Okay, just get my cloth. I'm just going to dab off. Really work that in. Okay, so you can see I'm just dabbing off any excess. And I'm going to put my hair dryer on now, so excuse the noise. Okay, I'm going to dry this layer now. There we go. So you can see now we've started to build up some background there. Hi Jack, how are you? I see those beautiful bouquets you've been making. I see what beautiful. You're so clever. So clever. So now we've got our sort of one layer, we're on our second layer. Now we're going on to the third layer. So I'm going to grab my, oops, there we go. Just going to grab my spatula now. And I'm using the same paint. I'm just going to add on another layer because this gives us our sort of top layer. So again, I'm using just the back of my spatula. That's all I'm doing. Hi Diane. And this time, I'm going to be dragging it to add on another layer of effect. So by doing this, you really are building layers. Okay, because we're just catching. Can you see where we're catching all this gorgeous texture now? Okay, it's all to do with the finish effect. It really is, and you see. Okay, again, just putting that down. And then this is a layer now. I'm going to have to dry this with a hairdryer as well. Okay, that's why I said we must have a cup of tea or a drink for you today because we have drying time, but it's all worth it. It really is. Okay, so you're just going to add on as much as you really want to add on. Okay, I want to get a little bit up the sides as well. Oops, got a hole there. Pop that down there. Can you see that now? I'll bring it up again. See? Hi Sandra. Again, it's another layer. So by doing this, you've got the base layer, and then this one falls into the back layer, but this one's on top. So again, we've got that would be a wonderful book cover on its own as it is. Okay, but we're going to dry this now. Okay, and because every layer needs to be every layer needs to be dry. So excuse me 2 seconds. So, oh, thank you, Jack. I love being there. It's lovely. Thoroughly enjoying myself, the hobby maker. So there we go. So that's another layer. Can you see that? It's nice. It's all dry now. I just love layers. Love it, love it. Then what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring in the Createx. Now this is where I say you can substitute this now with rust effect paint. So you can substitute this with the rust patinas. If you want rust patinas, again, they're available on the PI website. If you have a look on there. But anything you've got, if you've got other brands as well, then you can use that, obviously. So I'm just going to tip a little bit out in here. Okay, this is a nice soft consistency paint. But this one, it'll carry. I'm not supposed to be carrying rust in. So if I come to do something tomorrow, it'll have a bit more rust on it. It's once it completely oxidizes. Then So you can imagine now if this is around the edge of a book. Yeah. So what I'm going to do is you're going to just go around the edge. I'm going to use my finger. Okay. So I'm just adding some rust areas around the edge. Okay. Let's pop that there. So you're going all the way around to where you want the some rust in. Okay. I'll pop it all around here. I say this project, that's why I had to go ahead and do it, because it's all about drying time. It really is. It's all it is. It's not difficult. It isn't hard. It's just drying times. Okay. So you're going all the way around here. So you could do a large tag. So you could do anything. Wonderful backgrounds you could then cut up for cards when you do this. Okay. So now add a little bit more here. Go around again. I like a little bit of rust on mine. Okay. Here we go. So go around there now. Okay. And then let's dry my finger. What I'm also going to do is I'm going to add what we call an activator. This is like an activator. It comes as part of the Createx. But say if you've got your rust patinas, then you could just do a rust effect without doing this. Okay. I'm just going to add my activator here. It's just going to help speed it up afterwards on my thing. What I'm also going to do is I want to add a little bit of colour around. So I'm going to add a little bit of water to my rust effect paint now. And I'm going to just sprinkle some around. Normally I have a fan brush, but I don't know what a fan brush is. Fan brush is much nicer finish. So I'm just going to do this. And I'm just going to start, just splatter a little bit around. So it's just so that it's in the background. So when we put do our effect, you can still get those colours sometimes coming through.